welcome to a special edition of Culture on I-24 News. I'm Michal Divon, sitting in for Oded Grober. Today on the program, we'll talk to Israeli musician Rona Kenan. Kenan is a singer and songwriter that has been performing since the age of 18. She released 4 albums, the most recent one being Hamraot V'Nechitot, Takeoffs and Landings in 2011. Kenan worked with some of the most prominent Israeli musicians, including Eran Tzur, Gidi Gov, and Asaf Avidan. She is soon embarking on her first solo tour in France, where she will be performing in 5 different cities. Thank you for joining us, Rona.
You're welcome. Hi, Michal.
Thank you for being here. I want to talk about the Israeli feel in some of your songs. Your songers are able to evoke kind of this old Israeli tone. Do you feel connected to an older Israel?
I feel, deeply connected to an older Israel, although musically, I think it's been quite a process, because when I first started writing, I wrote in English. That was my main influence, the Beatles, David Bowie, things that my sister listened to. And as time went by, I started listening to things that I should have listened to earlier on, but for some reason missed them out, like Mati Kaspi and things that happened in the 70s in Israel.
I read that you didn't grow up with Israeli music.
No, not at all. I mean,
such a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I heard what was played, in the radio, but at home, as I said, my sister, who was my biggest influence, she's 10 years older than me, and she was like my guru. So I kind of took her lead and got exposed to those Israeli tunes kind of later on. But I think I have a deeper connection to even an older Israel than that. I mean, an Israel that was perhaps the dreams that my grandmother had when she came to the kibbutz in the 1930s, or the dreams that my father had as a young boy. So yeah, I'm kind of connected to that.
Your voice sounds like something that came out of the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s.
Well,
so it's amazing.
But see it as a compliment.
It's a huge compliment. How do you think it relates to the Israeli identity today?
I think we, in a kind of a broken society, broken identities, we need to find something to hold on to. We need to find something that will define us being Israelis. What does that mean anymore? I mean, it's really hard to tell these days. Not many things can glue us together as a society. So. And for me, it's finding those kind of ancient voices. Ancient, not in terms of thousands of years, but in terms of dozens of years. That's what connects me.
Something nostalgic for everyone.
Yeah, but not just nostalgia, but also trying to learn something from what went wrong during the process. I mean, the dreams that my grandmother had and what Israel looks like today is something that interests me to look at.
Your most recent album and the progress you've made is to a more rock-sounding kind of sound. Is this a natural progression for you?
That was always there. I think rock and roll is the beginning of everything. I mean, so if you ask me, that's the beginning of everything. So it didn't take much effort for me to get there. But I think I'm glad I have the option to perform with an acoustic guitar, and I also have the option to plug into an amplifier and crank up the volume and enjoy some loud rock and roll. So I have both worlds live in me.
Well, that makes you more interesting. But I have a question, actually about the audience.
Yeah.
You started playing when you were 18. Israel was a different Israel by then, and your songs are bringing forth an even older Israel. How has the audience changed over the years? Do you feel something different? It's the digital era. People are taking selfies today.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, everybody takes selfies, even young and old in the audience. You see something that kind of blends together. But I think what happened with me is when I started performing, my audience was quite a young audience. And when I released my 3rd album, Songs for Yoel, which is an album that I wrote about the life of my father, it's a concept album, and that I think appealed to an older audience that kind of joined me. And today I see something versatile, and I see families, mothers and daughters, and older people, younger people, religious, secular. I mean, there's a nice blend, and I really like it.
So you said you wrote a lot of things inspired by your father. You made a new version to First Love, which was written by your father, and you made a new creation to it. What was that experience like?
That was nice. I think I was lucky to have a chance to deal with some of the material that he wrote. I mean, he wasn't a songwriter. You know, he was a journalist and a writer. But the fact that he did write some songs that became these pop hits of the 60s in Israel, that gave me a lot of material to play around with, and that was an interesting experience.
And you've also worked with many very prominent Israeli artists over the years. Is there anyone you haven't worked with which you'd really like to perform, write for, sing with?
The funny thing about Israel and what makes it such a special place for me is the fact that you can touch your idols. You can they're close by. I mean, most of the people that I admire, that I look up to, I've had the amazing luck and opportunity to work with, and there are a few that for many reasons I didn't get a chance to work with yet. But
well, you're only 35.
I'm only 35. Not 35 yet. I will be in July. I'm still 34. But I might not. I don't want to expose their names because I think it's a good luck thing. You know, if I keep it secret, then it might.
We'll have to just wait and see.
Exactly.
We'll wait. We'll follow you.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short break and listen to your song "My Prison by the Sea" that you recorded here in our studio.
This was never meant to happen like this. Not that I had some sort of plan, but I swear it wasn't meant to happen like this. Save me from the hurricane, this door can't take the wind. Not that I had some sort of plan, but please save me from this hurricane if you can. Days go by and I forget what you look like. Let me out of this prison by the sea. Days go by and your voice is so distant, but you're the only one who has the key to my prison by the sea. Every time I turn away, I seem to miss a train. Everyone knows I'm not to blame. Oh, but every time I turn, I miss a train. Teach me how to live without you, but never leave my side. Everyone knows this isn't right. But oh, God, help me survive this night. Days go by and I forget what you look like. Let me out of this prison by the sea. Days go by and your voice is so distant, but you're the only one who has the key to my prison by the sea. You look like. Let me out of this prison by the sea. Weeks go by and your voice is so distant, but you're the only one who has the key to my prison by the sea.
We're back with Rona Kenan. Rona, why did you choose France as your first destination for your international solo tour?
Well, I had a really nice experience last fall with Asaf Avidan. I joined his band as a guitar player, and I also did all the opening shows for his European tour, which was intense. It was like 23 shows in amazing venues all over France. And, oh, there we are.
There you are.
And it was I got a good response from the audience there, and I had a feeling that it's just the kind of place I want to go back to.
And also your father's work was very successful in France.
Yeah, I have a kind of family connection there because the family mythology is that my mother and father met in Paris. And
this explains everything.
So, you know,
this
I have
is a natural place to go to.
Exactly.
But
he spent 10 years there, and he was. There were a lot of Israelis in the 60s that sculptors, painters, writers that spent some time in Paris in those years, and actually he became very good friends with the legendary Spanish singer Paco Ibáñez.
Maybe your next destination.
No, better than that. I contacted Paco, and he's going to be joining me in the show in Paris, and he's going to sing 2 songs with me, which is extremely exciting because he's a true legend. You know, he was one of the biggest protest singers, and so yeah, it's interesting for me to go back there.
But back, you know, with, to your work with Asaf Avidan, which I find very interesting. It's not really the natural connection. You know, Asaf Avidan is very American, very rock and roll. You say you started with that, but people see you as a more refined Israeli tune. He's the epitome of non-Israeli in a way.
That's true.
How does this connection work? What was the experience like?
It works in a very simple manner because we're friends. That's how it started. And
it's a good way to start.
Yeah, and you know, when you have a good friendship and something works, and he said, you know, we have this tour. Why don't you join us? And it was really natural, and I think that there's also musically things that do connect and kind of we like the same music, you know.
And when you see his career, I mean, his career has really taken off internationally. Does that give you an itch for an international career?
I think anyone who says it doesn't will be lying. You know, anyone who knows, who's been in contact with Asaf and seen I mean, I've been friends with him from before, like the big boom and
I remember,
after.
I'm from Jerusalem. I remember them as a small band playing at very small bars, and suddenly they're this international name.
When you see this huge explosion and you see it happening, there's an itch there. But of course, I think in our business or in what we do, I think it's a dangerous thing to compare and to aspire to what other people have, because we're completely different, and everyone, you know, each person has his own path. And luckily for me, I've had a steady road here in Israel, and
now is the beginning of a new chapter.
Yeah, so
which is
I told
amazing.
myself, why not try it out? I'll start it with a small tour. And
now in Israel, you've written for many artists.
Yeah.
What is the experience like when you write for someone else, as opposed to writing for yourself? How is the difference?
I think when you write for someone else, you kind of have to imagine you're actually swallowing that person, you know? When I wrote a song for Gidi Gov, which became a duet that we did together, I felt like I had to absorb Gidi Gov, what does it mean to be Gidi Gov, you know? And many Israelis know what that means. There's a certain Gidi Gov DNA that I had to latch onto, and you see the world through their eyes, and that's how you can, I think, that's a pretty good way to write a song for someone else.
So in a way, you're a chameleon, adapting other people's voices.
You might say.
So what's next for you?
I'm actually very thrilled about going back to the English, because as I told you, I started writing in English, and then I translated some of my songs, and eventually I became so hooked on the Hebrew that that was my main thing for 3 albums, and I want my fifth album, the next one, I want it to be in English. And in the past 2 years, I've been writing in English, and hopefully I'll have an English release sometime soon.
I hope so too. Well, thanks so much for being here with us, Rona.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That's all from us today. We will leave you with Rona Kenan's song Mabul, Downpour. I hope you enjoyed watching. See you again tomorrow, same time, same place.
אם נשרוד את המבול הפעם, כל חיוך יהיה שונה, נגוע, אם אחזור על זה עוד ועוד ועוד, תישארי 20 שנה, או עד סוף היום. למדנו לחכות ולוותר, ואיך להיזהר מכל מילה, והכל יקפא פתאום אם יהיה לנו רגע לעצור בפינת רחוב, לחבק ולעזוב כאילו שאפשר.